Dick Van Dyke, the eternal sprite whose chimney sweep twirls and penguin parades have enchanted generations, offers a blueprint for longevity that defies the actuarial tables. At 100, he doesn't shuffle into reflections with the weariness of years but bounds with the buoyancy of a man half his age, his laughter a tonic against time's inexorable march. "I feel really good for 100, he confesses, his eyes twinkling with the same mischief that powered Bert and Mary Poppins. "Sometimes I have more energy than others, but I never wake up in a bad mood." This admission, delivered with disarming candor, invites a deeper probe. What arcane elixir has sustained this vaudeville virtuoso through a century of triumphs, tumbles, and tidal shifts? Van Dyke's answer is deceptively simple, rooted not in kale smoothies or hit regimens but in the quiet art of emotional husbandry, specifically the deliberate sidestepping of anger and hate, those corrosive forces that gnaw at the spirit like rust on iron. Van Dyke's philosophy crystallizes around a visceral truth. "I've always thought that anger is one thing that eats up a person's insides, and hate. And I never really was able to work up a feeling of hate." These aren't platitudes from a self-help seminar but hard-won insights from a life observed with unflagging curiosity. Born in 1925 amid the Jazz Age's fading echoes, Van Dyke navigated the Great Depression's scrimps, World War II's shadows and television's golden dawn. His father, a figure of constant consternation, upset by the state of things in his life, succumbed at 73, a cautionary tale of resentment's toll. "It did take him at 73 years old," Van Dyke recalls, his voice softening with filial empathy rather than judgment. This paternal contrast sharpened his resolve. Where his father stewed in frustration, young Dick sought outlets in humor and harmony. Radio gigs in the 1940s, stand-up circuits in the 1950s, and the sitcom The Dick Van Dyke Show's 1961 debut became not just professions but prophylactics against bitterness. Laughter, he learned, is the great ventilator, expelling toxins before they fester. Yet Van Dyke is no Pollyanna. His aversion to hate isn't naivety but choice. "There were things I didn't like, people I don't like and disapprove of," he admits, "but I never really was able to do a white heat kind of hate." This distinction, disapproval without detonation, marks a maturity honed over decades. Consider his Hollywood heyday, the slapstick splendor of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang 1968, where he cavorted as inventor Caractacus Potts, or the poignant pathos of Mary Poppins, 1964, his Bert a Cockney confidant to Julie Andrews's magical nanny. Offset, he weathered scandals from the morning show's biting satire on his variety hour missteps to personal heartaches like divorces and health scares. Through it all, Van Dyke channeled discord into dialogue, disapproval into distance. "I think that is one of the chief things that kept me going," he muses, attributing his vitality to this internal firewall. Science echoes his intuition. Studies link chronic anger to cardiovascular strain, immune suppression and shortened telomeres, the cellular clocks that tick down lifespan. Van Dyke's laziness, as he self-deprecatingly dubs his laid-back ethos, aligns with Blue Zone research. Centenarians in Okinawa or Sardinia thrive on community, not cortisol spikes. Central to his formula is Arlene Silver, the 52 years his junior wife whose vibrancy is the wind beneath his wings. Married in 2012 after a 2006 meeting at the Golden Globes, Silver, a vocal coach whose voice lessons once tutored his grandson, infuses his days with delight. "She keeps me happy every day of my life," Van Dyke beams, dubbing her a joy. Their bond defies tabloid tropes, a testament to love's later blooms. Mornings might find them strolling Malibu beaches, Van Dyke's lanky frame leaning on her for balance post-hip surgeries, their banter a remix of Carl Reiner show scripts. Evenings unfold in quiet rituals, Silver reading aloud from Vonnegut, Van Dyke humming standards from his diagnosis, Murder Days. This partnership isn't mere companionship, it's co-conspiratorial, Silver encouraging his activism, from environmental pleas to SAG-AFTRA advocacy, while Van Dyke tempers her intensity with wry asides. "When you expire, he shrugs on mortality. "I don't have any fear of death for some reason. I can't explain that but I don't." This equanimity, unshadowed by dread, stems from a wonderfully full and exciting life that leaves no room for regrets, only recitals of gratitude. Van Dyke's habits extend beyond emotional hygiene to holistic harmony. He credits yoga and tai chi for flexibility, not fanaticism, gentle flows that keep joints limber without gym bro grunt. Diet? Moderation in all things including chocolate. He winks, eschewing fads for farm fresh fare from his Westlake Village garden. Socially, he cultivates a posse of old pals and new, from Carl Reiner's memory to Gen Z TikTok cameos. His 99th birthday SAG bash, a star-studded soiree, wasn't maudlin but musical, Van Dyke leading a tap routine that hushed the room. Looking back, he ponders the absurd luck. Meteor hopping from the Dick Van Dyke Show's 11 Emmys to night at the museum's billions. People say, "What did you do right?" "I don't know. I'm rather lazy," he laughs, but the truth lies in presence, savoring the pratfall as much as the applause. As Van Dyke crests the century, his wisdom is a beacon for an age of outrage. In a world wired for wrath, his hate-free heart is radical act, proving joy's longevity. With Silver by side, he plots no retirement but reinvention, perhaps a podcast on punchlines or memoir addendum. That I can't complain, he concludes, voice rich as aged scotch. In emulating him, we don't chase 100 candles but the light they cast. Lives unladen by anger, alight with love's enduring spark.